in '93, when I first really started working here, again, very fortunate because I got to photograph A-list celebrities, okay, which would be very hard for someone to do now.
Right.
Because there was a transition, okay? The celebrities became the supermodels. When you go to the newsstand, who graces the covers of all those magazines now?
Angelina Jolie.
That's right.
Not Cindy Crawford.
Halle Berry, Angelina Jolie,
Right.
Brad Pitt, whoever it may be. So the celebrities are, in fact, now the supermodels. They even, you know, do the campaigns.
Yeah.
You know?
And that was really kind of, you were fortuitous to have come out in a time when that change was really happening.
Indeed, indeed. And, you know, it's tough now for, I think, young photographers to, because, you know what, when you're putting together a portfolio, a fashion portfolio, you can go out and test models.
What is, I don't understand.
Meaning, you photograph the model, she works with you, it's you know, their time for an
Right.
exchange, and everybody gets prints. So
Right.
it's everybody wins.
Right.
Can't do that with a celebrity.
Right.
You have to be on a short list already. Okay?
Right.
So, you know, listen, and it's happened to me, and it's happened to a lot of, you know, people that are friends of mine, but, you know, Vanity Fair, Vogue, GQ, doesn't matter who you're working for, but...
All of which you've worked for.
Yes, I have. Thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome. Sorry. I mean, I realized that was an unnecessary interjection.
I didn't. It's okay.
But no matter who you're working for.
No matter who you're working for, it's gotten tougher and tougher because even if a magazine gives you an assignment,
Right.
It can be killed or vetoed, if you will, by the publicist if you're not on that short list
Right.
that the celebrity or the publicist likes to work with.
So the celebrity, even though they're, let's say, Halle Berry, for example, one of your most famed shots, which appeared on People's Yearbook, I think is where I first saw it.
Yeah, it was originally shot for Essence magazine, and later that year, People magazine chose it as Picture of the Year, put it on their yearbook cover. I didn't even know about it. I got off a plane. I was coming home from, you know, I don't remember if it was a photo shoot or a lecture, but I remember it was at night, and I remember passing by the newsstand and going, "That looks familiar."
Can they?
And I picked that up. Yeah.
They can do that.
They can do that because, well, it's sold to them.
Right.
Because, okay, how it works in celebrity, you have, when you photograph a model,
Right.
they have to sign a photo release. Celebrities are public figures, okay?
Right.
So when a magazine gives you an assignment, they own the film for 3 months, or the digital files. After that 3 months, which is called an embargo, the rights revert back to that of the author, the photographer.
Right.
Upon that point, now I give all the print or the images from that shoot or the edit to my syndication agent, which is Corbis Outline. So they then sell to the hundreds of magazines. Well, no, it's a fine line because they can't sell for advertising, for endorsements.
Okay.
That's it's editorial use only.
And does the celebrity have any say in where that image
No, not
appears?
at that point. No.
Yeah.
No, not at that point.
So it's another reason that you kind of have to trust your photographer.
Absolutely, absolutely. But that, so you know, that's also how we make a living, because when you have an assignment photography is a lot different than stock photography or sales, for example. Assignment photography, like that original Halle Berry shoot, I think my photo fee was maybe $350 plus expenses. Yeah, I know. Most people would give you that reaction.
Right.
But yet, the images in syndication sell for $5,000, $10,000, $15,000.
And it's been reproduced many times all over the world.
Yeah, and on many covers.
Yeah. And
but not just Halle, anybody I've photographed, like you said, the Angela Bassett or the Charlize Theron or Mel Gibson, Julia Roberts, whoever else I've photographed over the years, it goes straight into syndication.
And one thing that fascinates me about the process is you really have to get people comfortable when they come into your studio. And you're dealing, obviously you have to put aside any sort of, oh my God, this is Halle Berry.
You know what, I never really had that.
Really? You don't get starstruck? Never
You know
did?
what, I think the only person, because he has always played larger than life figures.
Charlton Heston.
Yes.
Yeah.
He really just, listen, I grew up in a very Jewish community, and that was Moses. You know what I mean?
Right.
I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, so I was really, you know, awestruck by his presence, because he did have such a presence. But as my journey continued, you know, the people in front of my camera, I'm blessed to have them in front of my camera. whether they're celebrities or not. But it is a co-creation between photographer and subject.
And are you looking for something when you bring someone in? I've read that you do a lot of research, a lot of pre-production, for lack of a better term, and then once things happen, you just kind of go with the flow. Once the actual shoot starts,
well,
you kind of go with the
I
flow.
believe that any photo shoot that you go into is very important to be prepared. I go in with a template or a blueprint, but I also understand that it's just a template for my creative process.
Right.
Because the really amazing photographs, the dynamic photographs that you're going to capture, are the ones that weren't planned.
Right.
So you can go in with just this enormous list. I mean, the Angela Bassett shot that you just talked about was not planned. I said, I mean, we were coming towards the end of our day, and I said, Angie, what would you think if we just poured milk on you? You know? And I just saw her kind of...
That is a gutsy thing to say to Angela Bassett.
And she just said, sure, why not? And she said, sure, we weren't planning on it.
Right.
So I had my assistants were running around the studio looking for, like, how are we going to do this? We actually taped a pot onto a broom handle. My assistant went up on a ladder, and I said, all right, on three. And I said, Angie, I want you to just put your hands up. The milk's going to be splattering everywhere, and I just want you to scream, okay? And just, you know, the contrast of the white milk and the black skin, it just caused such a beautiful image. And I love the photograph, but here's the interesting dynamic to that picture. It wasn't until the last frame when we ran out of milk, and I thought to myself, okay, well, we're done. And you know what? There was this stillness. There was just a few drips coming from her face and her arms. And I said, Angie, just put your hands to your face and close your eyes. And that was the final frame.
That's the iconic image you see everywhere.
That's the image, yeah.
So you really never know what you're going to get.
You don't.
And I know that you've kind of, you have a great rapport with the majority of people that you work with. One person I read about...
I've heard completely different, but okay.
Well, it depends on who you talk to.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the Robert Blake shoot? Now, for people who don't know Robert Blake, of course, famed actor who was put on trial for murder, eventually acquitted, but a weird fellow to begin with. And you actually went to go photograph him right when all this was going on.
It was a very short time before, and nobody wanted the assignment, by the way.
Really?
Nobody wanted to photograph the guy.
Just because they knew he was a nut?
He's a French fry short of a Happy Meal, and I don't say that about many people. He just, you know.
Yeah.
I just, you know, the thing is, I got there with my entire crew, and again, it became an iconic photograph because he ended up standing on his front porch buck naked.
Right. Which seemed like it would be awkward.
Yeah, but he just had his you know, his Beretta, that hat he wore on Beretta.
Right.
You know, he just had that covering his bits and pieces.
Yeah.
You know?
And I've seen that image many times.
But you know, it's interesting how that came about, because I came in with very specific ideas.
Right.
And
for example, what were you thinking?
Well, you know, first of all, I had my hair and makeup people there. I had a wardrobe stylist there. He was like that generation of the Robert Conrad. For those of you who don't know Robert Conrad, that's the guy, you know, knock the battery off my shoulder guy.
Right.
Just that tough guy era, you know? So I wanted to create images that would depict that. And he just did, you know, I got there, he just didn't like me. I didn't really care for him. He hated the clothes, and a little bit of, you know, you got, as a photographer, you have to be a little bit of a psychologist as well.
Right.
So I said, you know what, I'm smarter than this guy. And it's proven to be.
Yeah.
You know? So no, that was a cheap shot. I'm sorry. But I did. I used the psychology, and I said, you know what, Robert, you know what, you don't like the clothes. I just stand out there naked. And you could kind of see him, you know.
And he did.
And he did. He just thought, yeah, I'm not going to let this, you know, punk push me around.
Right.
So he actually went out there and did it.
That's amazing.
And I was there to, you know.
And it's one of the many iconic images. Now, can we see all this at your website?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the website again?
It's jerryavenaim.com.
I don't think you pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, I think I did.
Oh, that's right. It's your name.
Yeah.
Jerry, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Please,
I wish we had more
pleasure.
time. I feel like there's so many things we didn't cover.
We did. Can we make this a longer show?
Yeah, we're going to do a part 2 coming up next week. Thank you so much for joining me.
My
Jerry
pleasure.
Avenaim, photography to the stars, and one hell of a nice guy. We're going to go get a drink. Thanks for joining us, guys, at CU at USC, the best college talk show on television. We'll see you next week.